Welcome back to the ETA series with the Before You Buy or Sell a Business podcast. Today we're going to talk about something very important. We're going to talk about legal and attorneys. I'm going to try to cover 4 main things that an attorney can help with on the transaction. And again, one of the biggest things you can do is find the right attorney. So definitely pre-qualify your attorney. Make sure that the type of law that they do is with business acquisitions or M&A in general, and that they understand the specific type of deal that you're working on. So definitely pre-vet them. Really try to stay away from other types of attorneys that don't specialize in this. Otherwise, they could lead you down a path that could actually make the deal a lot tougher to get done. So let's get into it. The first thing to talk about would be the purchase agreements and basically how an attorney can help you. So setting up the actual structure of the contract, whether it's a stock purchase or an asset purchase, or who's going to be the buyer, who truly is the seller. Those are definitely things that an attorney can help write and make sure that in the purchase agreement that everything's accurate. Next thing that they would cover is basically all aspects of the deal. So what's included in the transaction. There's oftentimes that there's personal items that the business actually owns, maybe with a vehicle. So a good attorney should be able to address all of those things and make sure that the buyer is buying what they want and the seller is only selling the items that they want to sell. The other thing they can really cover are the terms and conditions of the contract and of the purchase agreement. So there's going to be a specific time period that you have in order to get financing. Also, how long you have to do due diligence to really look at the seller's financials, when items should be provided, when the transaction should close. All of those things can be written by an attorney and should be reviewed by an attorney to make sure that the proper language is in there. Another item within the purchase agreement that they can actually probably do a whole series on would be non-compete. So you'd want to make sure that is structured, that it meets all the legal aspects, and that it would be defendable in the future should it come up and be necessary to cover. Another big part of a purchase agreement are the reps and warranties. So they're going to look at essentially what is the seller representing within the business, and then what would happen in the future if any of those items were violated. So the next topic in a business acquisition that should be definitely handled by an attorney or where they can help would be during the lease agreement negotiations. So oftentimes they can actually write the lease agreement, or they can review a lease agreement that's being assumed by a buyer. They're going to want to look through there. They're going to want to see what type of personal guarantees are included, what items are actually covered by the landlord and what should be covered by the buyer, and make sure that the term is there and all the language meets all of the SBA guidelines, and then also meets what the buyer and seller are looking for. Next thing would be for consulting agreements. So oftentimes a seller is going to want to stay on for a certain period of time. So you could build in an employment agreement or a consulting agreement, and then cover basically what is actually going to happen with the transaction after that, and how the seller is going to remain involved. What would their role be? How would they be compensated? What can they do? What can they not do? And basically what they're trying to do is make sure that they will stay involved, but that the buyer truly owns the business and how they're going to operate the business moving forward without the seller having control. Now, the last thing that we would cover would be indemnity agreements. So this is also a big topic, and you'd want to make sure that you have a really good attorney that can write things in a way that would cover the buyer and make sure it protects the buyer moving forward, especially during a stock purchase. With an indemnity agreement, a really good one should cover the buyer from any prior obligations, especially during an asset purchase. But again, it's really good to make sure you've got an attorney that knows how to write indemnity agreements, and hopefully that will really cover the buyer. So I'm sure there's many other things. Feel free to drop it in the comments and let me know what your attorney has done to help you, or maybe even a specific case of something that didn't get written well, so we can try to learn from any mistakes. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.